All right, folks, I know that the price action can be frustrating. Our market is back down off the most recent little run up that we had. As we predicted, we did have a little bit of a correction here, and we're going to take a look at the charts. I understand that price can be frustrating, but that does not represent the future value that we have invested in when we now see the Bank for International Settlements going to the World Economic Forum and demanding a critical update to the infrastructure of our financial system before all of the elites in Davos, Switzerland. So we've been talking about how Ripple went to Davos, Brad Garlinghouse representing not just Ripple, but the XRP community so well, and the broader digital asset community for that matter, so well with complete class. But we also have to take a look at what they're talking about there in Davos as far as this financial system getting updated and the confirmations that we're getting that it's definitely underway. It's happening. And in fact, they're saying that it is, this is a critical update that is much needed. So while temporary price action can distract many people, get many, people, taking their eyes off the prize of what is absolutely happening and underway. And there's a reason why Ripple has a seat at the table, why Stellar got a seat at the table, why Circle was invited, right? And Casper and HBAR and a few others made some presentations and showed up. But there's a reason why Brad Garlinghouse took the stage multiple times there at the WEF. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into this update. And then we also got a response from Ripple to the SEC's trying to pry into the financial statements from 2022, 2023, and also trying to see the contracts for all of the post-complaint sales of ODL, basically all the sales that Ripple has been doing for the past couple years while the lawsuit's been going on. The SEC's trying to get at it, and Ripple is saying absolutely not. You guys need to get back in your place, and we're going to show you guys what we're talking about there in just one moment. But let's get right on into it, folks. Taking a look at these markets. So once again, nobody wanted to hear it. We were calling, clickbait for putting out the warning, for me saying, guys, this is not going to end well. Bitcoin bros, you better watch out. BlackRock's not going to buy you buying your bags. They're going to dump on your heads. And that's exactly what happened all the way up to 49,000 before we collapsed back down here to 40,000 is what we achieved, basically about 40,300 here on KuCoin. We've bounced back up to about 41,500. Watching this one closely, and we'll see if this correction is over or if we could get a significant back test to about that 38K level. That's kind of what I could see coming in at the very bare minimum. We'll continue to watch it. Now, Ethereum has cooled off after running up to about 2,700, moving sideways here at about 2,500. For XRP, it's back down to that 55-cent region. Okay. Now, last week we did go down to about 46 cents. And actually, that was actually long ago. That was January 3rd. Sorry. Back at the beginning of the year, that big back test that we got for XRP. But then you can see here that we've been basically just chopping between 55 and 60 cents ever since. And we did get a little bit of a breakdown yesterday. Right now, we're at about 55 cents for XRP. We'll watch it closely. XLM did do a big correction back down here to just below 11 cents. So if you've been looking to get that 10-cent Stellar, that might be coming in here soon. 17 cents for Algorand, 4 3/4 for XDC. That's 4 cents, just under 5 cents for XDC. Quant back down to 112 and Solana back down to 91. So the whole market here really cooling off. And part of the reason is that DXY is back up. So now that the market's realizing, oh, wait, inflation's still running hot. We still have strong jobs numbers, quote unquote strong, right? Low unemployment, low jobless claims. Why? Because people are getting their second and third jobs just to get by. But this is having the markets realize, wait, maybe the Fed isn't going to cut rates here so fast. And so now the expectations for the Fed rate cuts have actually dropped. And this has led to the DXY climbing back up. And along with that, the 2-year and the 10-year have both ticked back up. 4.389 for your 2-year, and the 10 years back up to 4.12. Going to be interesting to watch that. I just recorded a real estate update, and that's going to be dropping later today where I speak on the 10-year bond and how that's the benchmark for how mortgage rates are set. And so that impacts our real estate reset. So make sure if you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that notification bell. Real estate update's going to be dropping later this morning. Now, oil been chopping sideways right here below $80 per barrel. And silver has broken down back below $23 once again for silver. So the precious metals have been beat up 2030. But gold, this is very important. Gold did hold the 2000 level. Very important to understand. We got a quick back test below 2000 back in December, quickly recovered back up to about 2090. Very strong for gold. And it's getting beat up once again, but it did hold 2000. Very good to see. Now for NVIDIA. Well, let's delete that because NVIDIA keeps on pushing. Already up 20% from the beginning of the year. Well, actually, let's extend that up. We're actually up 25% since the beginning of the year for NVIDIA, right? So it started off the year here back down as it finished off, and then the first trading days of the year started to take back off, and we're now up to a new all-time high for NVIDIA, up to 594. This party's coming to an end here soon, in my opinion. Amazon climbing back up, and the S&P finishes off the week back above 4,800 and setting a new all-time high. Dow Jones, same thing. New all-time high for the stock market, for all of your major indexes, S&P, Dow Jones, and NASDAQ, okay? We'll continue to watch it and see what happens from there. I think that's all the coins that I wanted to show you guys. And so, yeah, once again, let's get right on into it. Looking at this one right here from Tier 1 Alpha. He says, I'm just going to leave this one here. Let's take a look at it. This is the S&P 500 all-time highs during the 2 to 10 year yield curve inversions, 1983 to present. So the S&P 500 is this blue line, and then the all-time highs for the S&P, while the 2 and the 10 is inverted. Remember, that's always a leading indicator of a recession. Okay? And that's exactly what we have right now, is your 2-year is paying a higher yield than the 10-year, and that's because everybody is worried about the economy, recession, and World War III, right? And so right, and by the way, too, our government is set to shut down here in another couple days, I believe, if we don't pass another bill. So that's another issue as well. But you can see right here, this happened right up here, leading in the 80s, right before recession. Okay. And then once again in the late 90s into the early 2000s, right before recession. And then all the way up before the Great Financial Crisis, we did the same thing before that recession. And you can see the big drawdowns, right? Big drawdowns. And then this massive run up that we've had since the Great Financial Crisis, taking us back to this point, double top set for the S&P 500, double top achieved, and we have that 2 and 10 year yield curve inversion. Now, if you look at the 3 month to the 10 too, it's also inverted. And once again, this is the second longest yield curve inversion that we've ever had. And over the past, 50 years or so, this has always been a leading indicator of a recession. So we need to continue to watch out and prepare for that one. Now, checking in from Davos, we have this one from Holger, kind of summarizing what he learned at this year's World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. 1, the economic order is more political than it has ever been in decades. Absolutely. That's why I believe that this, recession's going to hit, market's going to crash, banking crisis will, come back. We'll see some more bank failures potentially. And this is what's going to lead to the politics driving the Fed to cut rates, turn back on the money printer, and that's going to lead back into the bull run for cryptocurrency and risk on assets later in 2024, 2025. But right now, we need to watch for the catalysts that are bringing us down. Point number 2 is China's economic charm offensive has convinced very few. Basically, China's stock market's already down 44%. They just banned short selling. It's absolute blood in the streets in China. And remember, every time a market bans short selling, the markets just dump further, right? When you don't have the ability to bet short, well, then you just sell, right? And so that's what's going to happen. The Chinese stock market's already down 44% from the all-time high, and it's only going to get worse from here. They sent their representatives to Davos, and not many people are buying what the Chinese are trying to sell. Even if the political relationship between Beijing and Washington will normalize before the elections, people still aren't buying it. Just because we rolled out the red carpet, people are not buying it. 2024 is the fateful year for Ukraine. Yeah, absolutely. We're running broke. We're running out of funds. And that's a struggle that's taking place over there for sure. Germany not only has economic problems, but also a massive marketing problem. Yeah, and their real estate's already crashed as well, too. Not looking good over there in Germany. The hype surrounding AI has subsided for the time being. There were more panels on AI, its consequences and regulation than ever before. Up and down the promenade, the main street in Davos, a swath of companies were advertising their AI wares. But after the initial excitement last year, it's now all about impact, and there's not much to see yet. Yeah, it's been a lot of hype, not much actually being produced, as we've been talking about. These companies have been coming out and saying that we're leveraging AI. They don't know how they're leveraging AI, but they say it because it's cute and it makes their stock pump. Stanford professor Michael Spence thinks it will add at least $4 trillion annually to global GDP. Musician will.i.am delivered harsh criticism. Raising money for AI is easier than raising money for HI, human intelligence, which is absolutely right. People are just, throwing money at this thing because it's been the cute, hot thing. Davos is still popular and was way more relevant than last year. So they think they're really important over there, don't they? They really think that they're special over there, don't they? And like I said, we have to respect the platform, and I believe that we should have an open forum for talking about world economic issues, current events, and everything that's taking place. I believe in that, but what takes place at the WEF, I don't sign on to most of it. 99% of it I don't disagree with. But what we saw this year was Javier Milei from Argentina showing up, smacking them. We saw Brad Garlinghouse showing up, representing with class. And what you're seeing now is folks starting to question, are you guys part of the problem? We've been saying, yeah, you guys are, and it's absolutely hypocritical, and it's an absolute joke, right? That you guys want us to live like peasants. Meanwhile, we know how you guys are rolling around the globe on the PJ. Thank you very much for your suggestion, but I will not be eating bugs. Thank you very much. My freezer is full of grass-fed organic beef. Thank you very much. And if that breaks down my social credit score or whatever it may be, that's fine. If I need to move value outside the system, you know how I'm planning on doing it. Okay, let's rock and roll. Now, this is what we titled this session here tonight. The Bank for International Settlements, BIS Innovation Hub head Cecilia Skinsley spoke at the WEF, emphasizing that it is critical to upgrade the global financial system to meet users' growing expectations of fast, cheap, transparent, safe, and 24/7 services, both domestic and cross-border. I wonder why Ripple, Stellar, Circle were invited, right? This is it, folks. This is it. It is here. I know everybody's kind of beat up by the price action. That brings us all down. All of our portfolios are down. My portfolio is down. And I would have made money if I was able to trade, but I'm still mad. I meant to trade while I was on vacation because I was in a different state, and I was going to see if I could get on any of these exchanges, but I decided not to trade. I said, let me just enjoy my time with my family. I already was putting out content every single day and still working every day while I was on vacation. So I didn't need to trade as well too. So I didn't make any money on this downturn, even though I was expecting the market to come back down. And had I had any exchanges that would do business with me, I would have been shorting, but that's neither here nor there. Price action is distracting many people from what's actually being built and what's being demanded. This is not something that we're talking about that's way out. No, it's like, we need to get this done now, guys. Let's get to the table. And all eyes are now back here home in the United States, where they're like, you guys need to get your what together. With the SEC, with everything else that's taking place, nobody from the SEC was invited to the WEF. As far as I could see, there was no one from the SEC there. But we have multiple crypto projects, and we have the crypto project that's defeated the SEC in the U.S. Court of Law on some points, and the case is still going on, and we got to cover it here this morning for you guys. So we did get the response from Ripple yesterday. Ripple has filed its response opposing the SEC's motion to compel for the 2022 and 2023 financial statements, along with all post-complaint contracts for the sale or transfer of XRP to institutional sales. So they are denying it. Wrath of Kahneman giving us a little summary. Let's unpack the response. Ripple argues the SEC is asking for unnecessary information and trying to subvert the legal process. Let's outline the argument. As always, thank you to James Phelan. Always. God bless him. The SEC wants to explore Ripple's finances and post-complaint XRP sales, but Ripple objects, claiming it is untimely since fact discovery closed months ago, right? We are way past discovery on facts. And the SEC had ample time to do so, right? The SEC was watching Ripple sell all of this XRP post-complaint, right? The lawsuit that's been going on for 3 years, Ripple's still been selling XRP. It's just exclusively been to on-demand liquidity institutions and partners. And so it's irrelevant since this info won't affect potential penalties or injunctions. They challenge the SEC's need for more info to assess remedies, penalties by arguing that the new info isn't needed for old actions. Injunctions based on new info don't address the original complaint, don't change whether pre-complaint conduct broke rules, and they raise 3 procedural issues. Fact discovery closed months ago, and the SEC missed their chance to ask then. Reopening discovery is unfair and embroils the court in more litigation, and the SEC already used up their allotted interrogatories. Questions, right? They've already had plenty of time. An important and the post-complaint sales are not related to the complaint that was originally filed. An important thrust of Ripple's argument is that violating procedural strips them of their protections, setting a dangerous precedent for legal fishing trips that ignore discovery deadlines, shift the burden of proof, it's the SEC, not Ripple, compromise fair trials, and he says, grumpy old man moment. Truth be told, I was not happy to see a slippery slope argument called out, as it is a formal logical fallacy, even if not employed as such here. Okay. Now, and Anders says the point that we've all been saying, right? What damages would Ripple have to pay if the institutions they sold to didn't lose any money? And speaking on this point too, Bill Morgan, kind of clarifies this a little bit further, that the issue for the SEC in its reply due on 24th of January is how can it persuade Judge Torres that if she orders the discovery that this will not happen and that she will not be effectively deciding in a mini trial the status of Ripple post-complaint sales in a summary manner without a proper trial, right? Basically suggesting that this is a whole other issue that needs to be put into a whole other case, and we can't just have a little mini trial and a summary judgment made without going through a whole nother discovery process and a whole nother trial on those matters. Otherwise, I think the SEC's motion fails, at least in relation to discovery of the post-sale contracts. So Bill thinks that they're going to get shut down, and this would be another smackdown of the SEC, right? July 13th, we get the historical ruling from Judge Torres, XRP in and of itself is not a security, and that Ripple sales on the secondary exchanges, programmatic sales were not securities, and the other distributions were not securities offerings. Great. SEC does interlocutory appeal, gets smacked down on both points. So the Judge Torres has already confirmed this. Now, what we're seeing here, SEC once again trying to skirt the law, trying to do something that's not, really precedent in these legal matters. But does it stop the SEC? Absolutely not. Never does. They have no shame. And what I'm looking forward to right here in the reply is due on January 24th. So next week, we're going to get a reply from the SEC, and then we're going to hear from Judge Torres on whether or not she's going to grant the SEC this motion. Now, what we're looking at here is the conclusion of this remedies and all of this that is ongoing right now. Excuse me. Most likely coming in by April, and then we're looking for this case to be concluding by maybe May or June. And I know people are worth in. I know people don't want to talk about the lawsuit anymore. I know people are pissed because XRP is back down to 55 cents. We just heard from the Bank of International Settlements, though, that we need a critical system update. Okay. So while retail makes noise, makes complaint, and gets distracted, the elites around the world are having conversations right now about resetting this system, about updating the financial infrastructure, and how it is absolutely critical that it gets done ASAP. Now, how is that going to relate to XRP and a higher price? Well, once again, once we have regulations set, once we have this case behind us, these institutions that need to update their infrastructure, that need to get the new system rolling, they will feel comfortable buying XRP from Ripple. getting XRP and using it for its utility, using XLM Stellar, using Circle USDC, right? And you're going to start to see not just one flip of the switch for XRP, you're going to see switches getting flipped in every single ecosystem that's solving real problems, that's solving enterprise use cases. While retail's making noise, the elites in Davos around the world, and every time we listen to what the banksters are saying right now, and when we look at their balance sheet, by the way, they have $684 billion of unrealized losses, trillions of dollars of unrealized losses on their commercial real estate loans, and probably trillions of other toxic derivative exposure as well. They have a balance sheet problem, and they need to update the critical infrastructure for the banking financial system. So there's two reasons why they need these digital assets, right? They can hold them on their balance sheet as a store of value, and then they also can get the utility out of them as well. And this is why I think that you're about to see a flood of liquidity pouring into the space in a real way. We haven't seen nothing yet. The 10 billion of ETF volume, most of it in trading, basically from Grayscale to BlackRock, from one fund to another. That's not what was going to move the needle. Never was, which is why we called for a big correction to come in, a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Even though we went all the way up to 49,000, the whole way I was sitting here pounding my desk, pounding my table, saying, guys, we're about to get dumped on. We weren't buying the hype. Our community was prepared, but sure enough, here it comes. And the real ones in our community, myself included, we've been buying the dip. We're not fazed by this. We're keeping our eyes on the prize. We're listening to the Bank of International Settlements. We're listening to all these other groups that are saying it is absolutely critical that we update it now, that we figure this out now. And we know who has the solutions. While all the rest of the space is playing around with a bunch of crap, 99% of the digital asset space is an absolute joke and an embarrassment. There's a few handful select companies, groups, developers, builders, and businesses that are using digital assets in a real way that solves real problems. And those problems are valued in the trillions of dollars. And if you don't think that that leads to a higher price eventually, then, let me know in the comments down below what you're going to do instead. Drop the alpha in the comments down below. If you don't think that XRP is going to go to a higher price, if you don't think XLM is going to go to a higher price, if you don't think that the company Circle is making some waves as well, let me know. Drop the alpha in the comments down below. I'd love to hear. Because for me, it's very clear. There's a reason why they got a seat at the table. And there's a reason why they've been able to grow their businesses, while they've been able to grow and increase adoption, all while being attacked by the SEC, is because they can't stop what's being built over here with Ripple and the XRP ecosystem. And as I've been saying, all the utility that we got coming to the XRP ledger is absolutely massive. So strap yourselves in, keep your eyes on the prize. I know the price action's tough, but focus on this right here. If you appreciate the video, make sure you like it. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And all of our community resources can be found at my website, ZachRector.com. I got to run because we're going to the Discord weekly call, and you can get access to our exclusive Patreon Discord community through my website, ZachRector.com. Every single Saturday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 Eastern is when we have our Discord weekly calls, and we would love to have you join us over there. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and God bless out there.